Right, have we found Black Friday?
Do you know what the biggest stat for me is that 25% of like all sales were within November were on Cyber Weekend.
Cyber Weekend, yeah.
Which it's like a mind-blowing stat considering like November was the biggest of the year.
Yeah.
Like through across all of our network.
I guess it shows that even though people are saying, I don't know, Black Friday's been around for so long now, I feel like people are starting to think it's just something that's become a given. But those numbers are still there. People are still waiting to shop on that day. I mean, you're saying 25% of total sales for November. Also accounted for 2.95% of total sales for 2023 so far. So that's like a massive amount of the whole year. When you're looking at the month of November, you can just see from Singles Day, actually, they just fully start to like drive upwards.
Yeah,
so
it's about the 11th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
I just hope for retailers' sake this year that they're doing it with margin involved. I think most retailers, I think with the exception of we've got a retailer where they're moving warehouse and it works out more expensive to move the stock than just get rid of it on through clearance. So with the exception of those guys that I've spoken to, most have just more or less continue business as usual. Put little offers on clearances here and there, but by and large, I feel as though the message is finally getting home that people need to buy Christmas presents, and they don't need to be cutting their own throat, these retailers, to make sales.
I think quite a lot of people are offering the similar discounts to what they have previously.
Yeah.
So throughout the year, they're not really giving a huge amount extra on top of what they would have anyway. But I think people need that draw, especially with the economy as it's gone, and is going. That they needed that extra boost towards Christmas anyway to push them into purchasing. So I think Cyber Weekend overall still helps make sales. Because people expect something at least towards Christmas. Because if you're not giving anything, you're not going to get anything back, if that makes sense. You kind of feel a bit like you're left in the lurch of just full-priced products that you feel like you could have got elsewhere. And
I don't know whether it'll gradually die away over time, but I feel as though I think a lot of retailers now, they're almost trying to cheat the system a little bit by going kind of, dare I say, almost renaming their clearance section to Black Friday deals, where you might as well just continue business as usual. I think that'll affect people's. I think that'll affect certain brands. Like I was eagerly awaiting the Uniqlo.
I knew you were going to say Uniqlo.
Yeah, I was eagerly waiting their Black Friday, and it wasn't just myself either. It was just nothing short of disappointing. Yeah. Basically, it just looked like a whole lot of stuff that they were really struggling to shift.
I think they said spend £100 and you get a free mug.
Is that?
That was. I got an email saying that.
Actually, yeah, I've seen quite a lot of offers where you get vouchers from the company, so you have to go back and buy something later.
Right. Okay.
Less actual discounts where you would want to buy something.
These people are thinking around, because obviously Black Friday is derived from it was the time of year when companies would go from in the red on the balance sheet to in the black. Mm-hmm. So it's those last months of the years where they actually make the money and turn a profit. So it's good to see that, because what's been happening for the past few years is that they're in the red and then they're trying to scramble sales against everyone else that's just cutting the margins, and then you just continue in the red. You've really got to do a hell of a lot of sales to get into the black in those last couple of months when there's virtually no margin on them. So for me, it's kind of encouraging, but also this weird, it's almost this weird turnover state that we're going through now, whereby it's like people are faking a Black Friday a little bit, or giving a slight nod to it to generate some orders, but they don't want to give away the margin, and they don't really want to play the game.
Do you think retailers and customers are thinking about Black Friday in different ways then? Because I think customers still are excited for it. But
I think they are, but I might be wrong. Maybe it's my own negative experience of this Black Friday, where you kind of you're not really it didn't live up to expectations.
I think us being in tech and being around e-commerce doesn't help us.
Yeah, because we see through it a little bit.
And I think even going back a few years ago, even being in the industry, we were still excited for it. But now it's kind of gradually fizzling out, and I feel like that we're probably at the forefront of that. I think.
Do you think it's fizzling out though? Because obviously we're seeing orders going down year on year. But is that because we had such a peak with like the COVID year when it was just purely
well, I think
online?
it happened before that as
Yeah,
well. So
it
you had
that.
COVID, but years before, what would it be? 7 or 8 years before that? It was obviously like a really Americanized Amazon influence.
When it started coming over from America, when it
and
came
Amazon
over
couldn't
here,
fall
we
off with it
were quite good,
either because Amazon were essentially, it's obviously other retailers selling through Amazon, so they couldn't fall off. They're saying, right, do Black Friday and cut your prices and give people deals. They make all the orders and they still take their, assuming it's still about 15% plus the VAT that they'll make. So they can't fall off. It's a perfect selling mechanism for the likes of Amazon.
Yeah.
Similar to with eBay back in the day as well. But nowadays it's the retailers selling direct. And they're trying to match those types of offers.
I still think Cyber Weekend overall is beneficial for making sales, but I think it's only beneficial because people have been waiting all year because they know that this weekend's coming, and they'll hold off on things because they like try to buy at the cheapest.
Yeah. Well, you see it now from like last year when I looked at trends. There was quite a drop from November to December. Because people have basically spent all the money towards the end of November,
and I think the economy and everything, the way that it's going,
I think things like the postal strikes and
Yeah.
things like that, and a few postal services going out of business over the last few years,
containers and all that as well.
Yeah, people tend to get their shopping done earlier, so it ties in with November's Black Friday as well. It used to be back in the day. It used to be people would be selling online heavily up until about the 22nd of December. You really don't see that now.
No.
It drops off. It drops off a lot earlier for most retailers.
Well, I think ASOS's returns end in like the middle of December. Like, the Christmas returns period. Anything
really?
after the middle of December isn't in the Christmas returns.
Oh, wow.
So
they're anticipating that themselves.
yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
in that scenario. It might have been a bit of a misfire this year. I mean, it's up. I mean, revenue's up, 6.94% on the day. Black Friday was the busiest of the cyber weekend holiday period. 6.94% up in revenue, but orders were down 2.09%.
Yeah.
So
We tend to see the same thing each year, I think. Like revenue and AOV is up and orders is down just that slight percentage.
again, it's that more considered purchase that people are making off the back of it. So you're seeing the hit higher AOV. And I think traffic was up, wasn't it? But I think there was a lot of people kind of browsing, looking for bargains. I think at the same time.
Well, it's actually interesting as well because we pulled like who are shopping more on mobile devices versus on desktop, and I think 70% of online sales came from mobile devices. 63% of revenue mobile, but desktop still saw an 11.38% higher AOV. So it's interesting the way people are shopping as well. Clearly, it's like that quick purchase again on the mobile.
And I think some of that is down to the economy. I think like people have browsed and looked around and they're just waiting for that perfect moment to get that cheapest price. And because your mindset is, I'm only going to get the deal up until Black Friday and then it's just going to go up in price. You've already thought about what you want to buy. You're already going to buy it. Like a lot of the time, it's just you're waiting for that deal and you're hoping that it's the best on that day. And if it's not, you're still going to buy it.
Cyber Monday was quite busy, wasn't it? Oh, that'll be Cyber Monday was up 10%, 10.49% on last year. That'll be because payday will have happened for a lot of people potentially over the weekend.
Well, that's why Black Friday is when it is, isn't it? Last payday before Christmas.
Yeah, it's meant to be, isn't it? But because it arrived on, was it?
Yeah,
am I right in
I
saying
don't
it was
think
the
it is.
24th? 24th was the Friday.
Yeah.
So therefore, some people still get paid over a weekend. Some people are obviously
Yeah.
at the end of the month anyway. So it's probably, there'll be a few people that are getting to Monday then making the purchases there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that on the Sunday as well. Like, it sort of drops off and then goes back up again
Yeah.
from Sunday into Monday.
But you can also see that Sunday is actually still fairly high
Yeah.
in terms of actual revenue and, trade in general.
What do you think, like, sort of retailers should be doing to make the most of... Do you think they make the most of the full weekend, the full week coming up to it, or...
I think a lot of people are already doing it. I think the mindset sort of shifted a bit. Black Friday, like going back 8 years, like we've said, like when it first came over, was a big thing where you'd just do it pretty much on that day. But you had a lot of problems that came from it. Things like
Yeah.
sites would go down.
Yeah, people have major
have to-
infrastructure problems, didn't
Yeah,
they?
like you wouldn't be able to ship all your orders because you've got so many pretty close to Christmas. You can't ship them as fast. It's like you end up with loads of hassle when actually, what if you just increase it to 2 weeks before?
Yeah.
And you still get the same number of sales. Yes, it's spread out, but you still get, in fact, you probably end up with more sales because you're more
What people
aware
have
of
done
this
is
over
they've then
time.
made it Black Friday weekend, Black Friday week. I think you
Yeah.
have Black Friday fortnight coming from some. It might be in Amazon.
Well, they've got Prime Day as well now. When-
Selling
Yeah, it was
selling
July,
Alexas.
isn't it? July, June.
Alexas over and over again.
They do a few actually. Yeah. Another thing I did actually notice is all searches are up from last year. So like searches over the cross
Oh,
of
that's
our
interesting.
network is like way higher than it was, and orders from them searches, you're talking like 20-30% increase across the weekends.
thing
That
that
is
made
interesting,
me
isn't it?
laugh was conversion rate was highest on Black Friday during the working day.
Yeah, but I
Nudgy.
explained this.
That's because everyone works from home,
so-
Kelly.
but I explained
Yeah,
it as
don't
well.
Can you
though, like-
imagine the shopping you get done from home? And no one's going to say
I
that
think
people aren't doing that. Of course they are.
I
We've
dumbed
got
it-
the stats
I
to
think I
prove
dumbed
it.
it down a bit because I think basically people go online when they're at work to quickly buy it there and then. And that's why the conversion rate's up, is because you're not browsing for the item. You're not looking for what you want. You know what it is. So your conversion rate's going to be higher. So,
Here's why the searches will be up quite significantly on site. It's because visitors and purchases on mobiles are up significantly as a percentage as well. And you go on a
Yeah,
mobile and it's
yeah,
Black Friday, you're going to hit the search bar.
Yeah.
You're not
It's
going to
so
go
much
through all the
easier, yeah.
categories and troll through endless departments of
Yeah.
T-shirts.
which also ties into the fact that conversion rate is up, because we already know that when you search and the searches that you complete, you're more likely to purchase.
I think the reason people are converting a lot more mobile is because payment gateways are a lot more tuned towards mobile purchases nowadays. So going back a few years ago, it was only Amazon, really, where it was almost the one-click checkout. Then you had the likes of Klarna, and now it's become fairly mainstream, like really cutting-edge products such as Shopify Pay and the like, starting to dominate the market, I think.
Yeah, Shop Pay as well, because that's what they've got.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shop Pay, they've taken over the whole checkout. They've made the additional thing, haven't they? Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Go for it, Kelly. What are we doing with this report?
So, discovering the trends, Black Friday 2023 data exposed. So, we're publishing all our findings in our report that will be going out. Should be out by the time this is out, actually.
So what'll be in it? Is it all the stuff we've talked about now?
Why
Yeah.
do we download it
Plus more.
over any other boring PDF?
Because we're giving you the key findings to maximise for the rest of Q4. So, obviously, we've discussed all about the mobile there. Boring PDF.
You're doing so well responding that. You're doing so well with it, and then the question just hit you.
Yeah, so obviously marketing costs are up, PPC costs are up. How can you be making more of the traffic that's visiting your website over Black Friday? Not only Black Friday as well, these sales are going to continue for the rest of the year and into next year. And how are shoppers behaving? We know it's cost of living. We're worried about revenue going down, people spending less on non-essential items. So we've pulled all this data for this report from Salesfire Trends. On Black Friday alone, we tracked £15 million worth of revenue. So we've got the most comprehensive data for the UK across Black Friday weekend, and it's all in this report.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
So where do I get it?
So if you want to download our report, Discovering the Trends, Black Friday 2023 Exposed, just head to salesfire.co.uk/Black-Friday-2023-report, which will be linked in the bio below.
Just there. Somewhere there.
Yeah.
Right here.